Well, you're probably wondering, oh my god, what is he doing today? Well, today, um, we're talking about space. Um, you were probably wondering, and what does that have anything to do with space? Well, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, we, I remember, I think it was like somewhere last year, like, there's a asteroid in our solar system that's packed with so many resources that if we mined it, it would crash the global economy. And the thing is that's just proving uh, that's just money. The problem is something like that. Why? That's if you're selling everything as all at once. The problem is why would you sell it all at once? The average person would keep it in holding until it's needed, not just to sell, but to use for your own country's benefit. What is gold used for besides a form of currency, such as like gold bars and bullion and ingots? What is it used for? Guess what? Gold is found in cell phones, tablets, computers. It's found in everything. What about all those other rare earth elements that we would mine from this asteroid? Well, again, it would be used in everything, in electronics and stuff like that, which means prices would plummet. That would mean, guess what? Companies would be able to buy more and do more research, which would mean more progression in society. Rocket engines are expensive. Now, what happens when the economy crashes and that $1,000 part is only worth $50? Now, that's bad, but good. Good for, the researcher buying that part for the progression of society. Now, the problem is that just means you're only worried about the money portion of it, not the benefits. Now, you would need to do like a chart, the pros and cons of what you would get from mining something like that. Now, here's another solution to that problem is we're wanting to, the world is wanting to colonize Mars. Guess what? We mine that. It wouldn't crush the global economy because that would mean we would have two global economies because one, it's another planet. So there would be two global economies. That fixes that issue. So, yeah, it'd just be split between Earth and Mars. That's what happens. Now, um, yeah, that fixes that and other issues. So, now, the problem is, wood should be expensive, and, you know what? I'm gonna pause the video and, uh, yeah, hold on. I'm having a brain fart. I'll be right back. I have no idea what just happened. As soon as I pushed pause, my music started playing. Well, I changed my mind. I don't want to do a graph. So, we. It would fix the problem going to two places instead of one. And it would improve everybody. Actively doing robotics research would also increase. Thrusters, rocket technology, electrical propulsion would increase. So yeah, I don't see any. Only con I see would be, the collapse of the global economy. But again, if we colonized Mars, the impact wouldn't be so great. It would be diminished because instead of going all to one place, it would go to two places. So at that point, that's no longer a con. So mining it, that just, there's no cons to it. So why don't we mine it? Yeah, I know this is just, how should I, dumb. So yeah, we need to do it in order to well, for the progression of society and our species. It's a must. Um I think tremendous amounts of money needs to be dumped into um rocket tech along with other things. And like there was a video I watched, would a submarine survive in space? Yes and no. The problem is okay, would a nuclear submarine survive in space? Yes. Yes, it would. It could hold I think it's uh 10 atmospheres of pressure, and it only needs one. So yeah, there's no problem with air. And I came up with a solution for overheating with um the reactor is well, they were saying it uses seawater for cooling. And I got to thinking, well, submarines have uh giant tanks on them that fill with water and then with air, the ballast tanks filled with air and water. And I got to thinking, well, fill the ballast tanks with water. There's your water solution. And then I got to thinking, well, what about other things? Now, it would recycle through the thing. I would use a so that fixes the water issue for the reactor. Now, it would be a closed circuit. However, it would eventually overheat. So I got to thinking, well, why not run pipes on the outside of the ship to act as how irradiators do for heat dispersion. And I got to thinking, yeah, that would work because, I live in a house with radiators in it. So, yeah, something that like that does work. And then I watched a video about magnetic cooling using the power of magnets to cool for cooling. And it's considered for refrigerator tech. And I got to thinking, well, magnets. Well, why not we use electromagnets for the on it for cooling? So now you wouldn't have to. You could have it running out for extra cooling, and then have the electromagnets also cooling. So That's two cooling things. So yeah, that fixes that, and it's an internal circuit. So then you could turn the reactor itself about using, reactor cooling tech to keep, so that's three cooling things. The, radiator thing, the or the magnetic cooling, and the reactor cooling tech. That's three cooling things. And for now, that's just for the power issue. That fixes that. Now, so the submarine is your ship. The reactor is the reactor, and water cooling things is dealing with your power. And what about propulsion? Well, now, guess what? I would use ionic or other electrical propulsion. Like I just watched a video about Sunbird engines. Instead of having them to where they could, take off and take on, just permanently mount them onto your ship. Just take two of them. Just mount them. There you go. There's your propulsion. Now, you're probably wondering the fun part. What about weapons? It's a spaceship. It's gonna have weapons. You need weapons on a spaceship. So, now, what about, sure, laser tech. It's running off, nuclear power, so that's plenty of electrical energy. I would have, each room would have, hold on, I'm gonna pause and shut my door. Well, I know that took longer than I thought because I ended up making me some tea. So yeah. Why does, okay, well, anyway, where was I? Weapons for, the spaceship. Lasers. We do have lasers on Earth. Because of the zero gravity and, less, air resistance, because, the light beam does collide with the things on Earth and our atmosphere and makes the laser less effective. Having it on a ship in space will, one, improve the effectiveness and range of the lasers. And now you're wondering what's powering them. Remember, the submarine has a nuclear reactor, and at this point, I'm not gonna call it a submarine anymore. It's a full-on spaceship. So, yes, it will, So now, for more power issues, because it would be very power hungry. Add, because submarines do have fins. I would throw, the foldable solar panels. Hold on, I coughed. I would have that, and to where it could fold out and collect stuff if it's not moving, and then it could fold back once it's done, so the thrust from the engines won't tear apart the solar panels. So yeah, you could use how should I say, like how houses that run off batteries. You could have batteries in the in the wall or not in the walls. Like each room could have a small, I should say, like a battery box, like a Tesla wall box that would run the room and all the electrics in the room to help fight, so it won't use a lot of the what I call what would be the onboard grid, because it would be a closed system. So each room would have a battery box. The battery box would run everything for that room. So and then it would also, from the room, also intertwine with the other things. So it'd be a electrical net, basically, of batteries. So not only would its primary power would be the reactor, it would have battery backups, because to run a room that small, for just a regular something like that, would only thing you would need to power would be like an LED, your lights, and then I would say like each room would get its own like air scrubber. So yeah, it would power each room for about a week before the batteries, or no, I'm gonna say it would power it for around a something, because I would give it around a I'm gonna say at least 16 to 17 days of power for each room. And a combined total would mean it would give the whole ship, I'm gonna say, at least I don't know. It'd be a lot of power. But anyway, yeah, the weapons would be run off lasers. It would be a combination of lasers, and for solid weapons would be I would say like unguided rockets. I don't know. It'd be harder to you could turn a missile in space with using thrusts, like using like little thrusters. However, it'd just make the missile more expensive, so you could technically have onboard missiles, but why would you? The arc of the turn would be even longer than what it would be on Earth. So, yeah, it's one of those where it's possible, but just why? Then you would use either coil guns or rail guns for solid projectiles. So yeah, I got to thinking about something like that. So yeah. Now this should fix everything I just said. Should be the solution. So, well, see you guys next time. I gotta go do something. I don't know. So, bye bye.